Little Big Planet is one of the greatest games of all time. It's just so fun and it's full of charm and originality. And while the story mode is so much fun, the real meat and potatoes of Little Big Planet comes from hours of just playing random people's levels. It was great. But I'd also make my own levels, and a good chunk of them were, well, absolute dog shit. But there was one level series that I was really proud of as an 11-year-old. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Sackboy Adventures. The Sackboy Adventures, no, not Sackboy, a Big Adventure, that's something else entirely, is a 2011 level series that is one part Little Big Planet, part Kingdom Hearts, and one part Go animated video from 2013. Little Big Planet because it's the base game, you can only play it in Little Big Planet, and characters from the main Little Big Planet game show up. Kingdom Hearts because of the visiting different fictional worlds type stuff, and Go Animate because the main villains are mostly characters from toddler shows. So the development history of this game is rather fascinating. After my last level series was heavily panned on Little Big Planet 2, I had to go back to basics. That meant using the original game as a base engine. So getting back home from my trip in Maine, I started brainstorming ideas. I was originally going to call the series Little Big Planet 3, but decided against it because making the third game in the first game would make absolutely no sense. Finally, I settled on a Little Big Planet midquel. Set between the events of Little Big Planet on the PS3 and Little Big Planet on the PSP, the series was going to be episodic, with episodes being released at least twice a week, and the series was relatively successful, getting on average 50 plays per level in Little Big Planet 1, so that's something. The first episode was released on November 11th, 2011, which is not only Remembrance Day here in Canada, but the same day that my favorite game of all time came out 8 years prior. So if that's not a huge coincidence, I do not know what is. We start the game off in the most pointless tutorial ever in the middle of Nepal. I call it pointless because you have to complete the main game tutorial to even access this level, so oops. One thing you'll notice right away is how flat the level design is. There's pits here and there, but you'll rarely do any sort of meaningful platforming. The first boss is here, and he's painfully easy, so that's that. Level 2 is the biggest joke. So, do you want to know what the biggest gamer trick in the book is? You're supposed to platform across these floating islands up here, but I'm such a gaming god that I skip the floating islands with a jetpack that you get at the start of the level. Game design, ladies and gentlemen. Game design. Does the game get any better with level 3?
No.
In fact, I think it gets worse. First of all, you're staring at this ugly looking thing. Second, you just talk to a random woman, swim in a couple pools, and then get out. What was the point of any of that? Like, really? World 2 is a little bit better. It's set in Gabon, and here we meet Mudkip of Pokemon, who is in the middle of a guerrilla war with the quote-unquote Baby Show Army. We find the leader of the Baby Show Army's operations in Gabon, who turns out to be Barney the Dinosaur. We blow Barney in half, and he's about to spill the beans about who the leader of the terrorist group is, of which he is a part, but unfortunately dies in the process. On to World 3, and it's Chicago. We meet up with that same woman from the first world, and her dog got stolen. We get in a cop chase, and fight walking shit in the sewer. We find out Caillou was the one who stole the woman's dog, and we fight and interrogate him. He dies before he can spill the beans about who their leader is, so we drive off to Texas to meet with Sonic, who is dealing with Bob the Builder. I kid you not, this is the game's story. World 4 has an interesting mechanic because if you kill civilians here, your wanted level increases and the cops will chase after you. Insane for this game, I know. We also meet Manic and Sonia from Sonic Underground and head off to Green Hill Zone, where we meet Tails, who looks like he's had one too many Vyvanse. Also, Green Hill is covered in sand, so I may or may not have predicted Sonic Forces in 2011. We meet Bob the Builder, who meets the same fate as all the other bosses, dying before he can spill the beans.
Quick side note, I just realized my main microphone wasn't even plugged in for like half this review. So that's why it sounds super quiet and kind of messy. Anyways, back to the review. World 5. Now, I was grateful to reach World 5 for a ton of reasons. For one, the levels here actually do have some exploration, where you have to try and find all the platinum bolts to get the prize bubbles. And the levels here aren't all that flat. 2, it's the second to last world in the game, thank God. 3, it's the Ratchet & Clank levels. And you get to visit 3 planets from the Ratchet & Clank games. Those being Veldin from the first game, Dobo from the second game, and Endako from the second game. Not only that, but Clank wears his secret Agent Clank outfit in these levels.
Okay, I'll pull up. How about at the after?
And speaking of Clank, he even turns into a car in these levels. The boss in these levels is Justin Bieber, and his boss sucks, but he finally spills the beans on who the leader is, and that's Lunat from Big Comfy Couch. What did you expect? World 6, finally, the end of the game. The Resistance has planned a full-scale attack on this innocent woman's house, but it fails, as most of the Resistance is either captured, or in Mini Bobini's case, critically wounded. We free the captured Resistance members, and now it's time for the final boss, Lunat. And boy, what a final showdown it is. It's at 6 a.m., we gun down her robot, and you shoop to whoop to finish her off. Mudkip reveals his pronouns are indeed he/him, and we are dubbed Prince of LittleBigPlanet. We get a tease for the sequel, roll credits. So that was the Sackboy Adventures. It sucks. No beating around the bush. It has flat, boring, and short levels, a nonsensical story, and pretty bad bosses. But it does have a certain charm to it. It's like a kid making up stories with its toys. And I mean, I can't hate that. I won't praise it, however, so the Sackboy Adventures gets a D- with the title of bad. Well, that was a little unfortunate. It was my first D grade on this channel. But, you know, there's a first for everything. Stay tuned next time, and I hope you liked the video. If you did, please share it with your friends, subscribe, and tap that bell. And I'll see you next time.